Hi, welcome to Cooking with Lori. It's been a while since we've cooked together, but we got a new toy, so I thought it was time again. This one will be produced again by my husband, so thanks to him for getting all this together. I know it's a lot of work, but this is a new toy that I thought was worthy of a video, and I really don't like making videos, but I thought this was really worth it. So this is going to be about the Ninja Foodie, F-O-O-D-I. This is something you've probably seen on TV. They're trying to sell it everywhere, but I guess it worked because they sold me on it. It's a pressure cooker, basically, with an air fryer built into it. It is something new. It's the first one I've seen. It's a whole new concept, and I think they'll probably be coming out with some remakes and probably some design upgrades. So this is the first one that we've seen, so we'll see how it goes. I thought today we would try and make some ribs and see how they come out, how long it takes, and that way we can see the pressure cooker part of it to see how long it takes to actually make the ribs and make sure that they're moist and they're cooked well. And then we'll put some barbecue sauce on them and make sure that they crisp up and that they get the outer bark on them, the crunchy part, and see how that turns out with the air crisper part. So anyway, welcome to my new kitchen. Last time was in my old kitchen, and this one is a brand new kitchen that we built, and so we will get started. This thing is got at Walmart. It was $189, and it takes up a lot of real estate in your kitchen, so that's something to think about when you're considering it. Comes in one big box. It all fits together pretty well, but I wanted to lay it out and show you what you get before we get started. This is the main part of the machine. This is the Foodie, and as you can tell on the front, it kind of looks like your Instapot. This is the pressure cooker part. You can see on the front it has the controls that are just pretty much like the new pressure cookers are these days. This lid actually stays on all the time. This is the air fryer lid, and that's probably the one that you would use the most. So they've built it so it stays on all the time. In here it has the part, it looks like a heating element and a fan. So this is the part that does the air frying, and then it has a big pot that sits in it that is non-stick, and so this sits in here. And then when you decide you want to do the pressure cooking, it has a pressure cooker lid that is it's marked really well. There's two little arrows that line up over here, and it just goes down and it easily slides on just like that, and now it's locked on. And on the top there's a seal and a vent, so you just slide the little gadget over to seal, and now it's locked on and ready to pressure cook. So it's really easy to use. It's not scary like the old pressure cookers used to be, and that's the thing about it though. When you're not using it, you've got an extra lid here. It's not something that you can really store on your countertop very often, but the lid just turns again and comes off when you're not using it. So another thing that you get with it is what they call a reversible rack. This rack comes laid out like this, but it folds up. It's made out of metal. It folds this way, or you can fold it this way. You can use it like this and put some liquid down here and steam some vegetables on here, or you can use it like this and use it as a roasting rack if you want, and it just will sit down inside this part of the pot, and then you can put the liquid in the bottom and steam, Or you can cook rice in the bottom of it and put a protein on top of this so that it'll do dual duty. And also it comes with this, which is another pot that you'll want to use when you're air frying. So this just sits, I haven't tried this yet. I think it sits, I think this will set inside here and this in here. And when you're going to air fry, that lid just sits like that. And then it's real easy to check when you're air frying. You can just pop the lid up and double check and see if something is at the stage you want it, or if it's done, or if it's not done enough, you can adjust the temperature or the heat or whatever you want to do. But it seems like a pretty easy to use gadget. It also, like a pressure cooker, well, because it is a pressure cooker, it has a place back here to catch moisture that comes out. You know, when you're using a pressure cooker, if you've used one before, you'll know that it has steam that comes out on this lid. It's real important that this gasket stay clean, and so this gasket here, I think you can, I saw where you could order extras. So this gasket needs to be sure that you keep it clean after every use. And this is where the steam comes out. And these are the gadgets. This is the bottom side of the gaskets, the bottom side of the gadgets. So on the top side, when you're cooking, you have this marked over on the seal. And when you're done cooking and you've come up to pressure and you've cooked all the way, you do a quick release where you just pop this over to vent. And it sounds kind of scary, but a big rush of steam will come out, and it'll come out fast, and it'll come out very hot, and it's noisy and kind of scary, especially the first time. But that's just the normal part of pressure cooking. But this is where the steam comes out. And so these are pretty important parts of the Ninja, so of any pressure cooker. So you want to be sure to have these in an area located where it's not going to come up and hit a picture that you have hanging on the wall. You want to be sure that you have the whole unit placed somewhere safely. Safety is a pretty big deal with this, with any pressure cooker, but especially with this unit. You want to be sure to keep it someplace safe where it's not going to cause an accident or burn yourself. The steam that's in the unit, when it comes up to pressure, is actually hotter than boiling. So you want to be really careful not to hurt yourself, especially the first few times you use it. Once you get used to it, you'll understand. But it's kind of a different way of cooking, and I think that once you get used to it, you'll like it. I think it's a kind of a new way of the future. And so before we get too much further into it, I wanted to show you some of the paperwork that comes with it. You know, there's always paperwork with everything. There's the short version and the extended version. One of them is called Get to Know Your Foodie, and this just tells what comes in the box, and it's kind of a quick explanation, how to use it, a quick version of like how to do an herb roasted chicken. And then on the back, here's a quick little cheat sheet of like some of the most common things that you'll want to use, or that most people will use it for. So some of the things you'll pressure cook, some of the things you might steam, some of the things you'll air fry, and some of the things that you'll, what they call tender crisp, which is the pressure cooking and then the air crisping. So just some ideas to get you started. And then of course the owner's guide, which is very important that you go over, especially if you've never used a pressure cooker before. And it has a really cool little cookbook. It's got 15 recipes in it, but the really good part about this, it has some nice photos And once you get to the back of here, it has this chart, because one of the reasons that I wasn't really interested in this was because I never really know how long things are going to take to cook. And in a pressure cooker, you can't pop the lid off and check the temperature on something. You can in an air crisper very easily, but not in a pressure cooker, because then you have to wait for everything to come back up to pressure before you can, before it starts cooking again. So this is a really good guide. It's several pages long, and it's divided by air crisping, but the important part, I think, is this pressure cooking chart. And it has things like carrots. If you were going to pressure cook carrots, for a pound of carrots, it just takes 2 to 3 minutes. Now that's cook time. That's not counting the time it takes to get the unit up to pressure. That's the actual cook time. And it tells you how to use this rack if you would use it this way or this way. And like how to cook potatoes, how long it takes to cook potatoes, or I wanted to find some protein here and like get an idea of cooking like a chicken. Let's see if I can find, yeah, here's like a frozen chicken breast, like 4 frozen chicken breasts, boneless, would cook. It takes, remember, you always have to have water in here because that's how you build the pressure. So it takes a cup of water, and it only takes 25 minutes to cook those chicken breasts from frozen. That's actual cooking time. So that's kind of a way to give you an idea. And so this chart is really good, and it has some neat recipes to give you some ideas to get started. And then you can take your own recipes and certainly create old family favorites and alter those, and who knows, maybe create your own cookbook and write a cookbook to share. I think this is a way of the future where there are going to be a lot of different recipes, a lot of ways that people are going to find to use this, and I think that we need some recipe books out there that will help guide people how to use this. Cut.
I think
Okay, so now we're going to move forward and start with some ribs. I just got some ribs at the grocery store, and we'll cook those, but I wanted to show you the pan that we're going to cook them in. We just have 1 rack of ribs, but this is the pan that comes with it. I think we went over that a little bit earlier, but I wanted to show you the depth of it. It is about 5.5 inches deep, and it is about 10.5 inches across, but from inside to inside, it's actually 9.5 inches if you're trying, I don't know if that helps or not, but to kind of understand how much it'll hold. It's not a huge pan for all of this kitchen space it takes up, but it's a good sized pan, and you know, it'll hold enough definitely to make a meal for a family. So this is the pan that goes into the pan that holds this pan. No, this isn't a pan, this is just the rack. So this is the rack the ribs are going to sit on, and this, let me hold this up a little bit better. This actually will hold this. Let's see, how am I trying to explain this? This will hold the meat up off the bottom of the pan about 1 inch. So the water will go on the bottom to create the steam, to create the pressure. So there you go, there's your pressure cooking. So this is going to go here. Oh, this also has a safety in the bottom. See this little button here? You can kind of hear it. You'll feel it if you get one, but the whole system won't work unless there's a pan sitting here to push that button down. So it kind of will help to keep your system from working unless you have a pan in there and it's sitting in there properly. So that's a good thing. There are quite a few safety measures on here. Okay, so we have the pan in here, and I got some ribs earlier, and got some just got some dry rib rub at the meat market that got them rubbed down, and they've been sitting out getting ready to go in. So they sell accessories to this thing as well. I wanted to mention that. One of the accessories they sell holds the ribs up straight, but I don't have those and probably won't get it. But this is a rack of ribs. It says to cut them on the cooking cheat sheet. It says to cut it in quarters, but I cut it in thirds. So I am just going to lay them in here as best I can. And see how we do. I think they'll fit in here. I'm just going to lean them sideways. Oh yeah, that fits in there pretty good. Let me wash my hands. Okay, so we got the ribs in the pan, and I'm just going to put a few more little things in here to maybe give it a little more flavor. Haven't cooked ribs for a long time, but we'll see how they turn out. You have to have water. You always have to have water in here to make the steam. So I got about 3/4 of a cup in here. The cheat sheet says a half a cup, but I got a little more than that. And actually, I'm going to take some of this Better Than Bouillon. It's roasted beef base, and it's just going to add a little extra flavor. I'm going to I probably should have done that first, but I'm going to put that in the bottom to help develop the flavor. Since it is not cooking all day like ribs usually do, just thought another layer of flavor couldn't hurt. So I've used that in like beef stews and with roast, and it does help give it kind of a little extra flavor. I'm also going to give it a couple of shakes of Worcestershire sauce. I don't know if that's going to really help much, but we'll give it a little bit. And we have our water in there. And I'm going to put some onions in there. Just rough sliced some onions into some big chunks. Actually, I think probably they're going to be more flavorful than give more flavor. So I think we have everything in there that we need. I think probably nothing in there would have been just as good as adding whatever we added. But barbecue sauce we will add at the end when we use the air fryer. So on the cheat sheet it says blind people put on your glasses. And so for fresh ribs, it says that you want to pressure cook for 19 minutes. And so first thing we're going to do is put the lid on. And so it tells you right here, front of the pressure lid, and actually I'm sure you'll probably want to peel that off, but well, let me give you a quick look in here before we get any further. So we have a very full pressure cooker, and you know we have the water on the bottom and all the sauces and everything, but it's pretty full, so we're going to have quite a bit of ribs. So we have an arrow here and an arrow here that we want to match up. So we're putting them right on top of each other right here, and then we have an arrow that points that way. So we're going to slide it over that way, and you can pull it up. We're locked in, so we know we're good. Up here on the top is a vent and a seal. We want to make sure we're on seal because we don't want the pressure that builds up to come out right away. We want to hold that pressure. That's how we cook. And so then down here we are going to turn the power on, and then it's just a few quick buttons here. We're going to cook under pressure, so we click the pressure button. We're going to use high pressure. They have high pressure and there's also low pressure. I've never cooked with low pressure. I'm not real sure. I think it's like for delicate foods like maybe fish. And it said 19 minutes, so we're just going to go to 19 minutes. Now that means once it gets to pressure, it'll actually cook for 19 additional minutes. During the time it's building pressure, it's going to be hot and it's going to be cooking. So once it gets to pressure, it'll add 19 minutes, and then it will hold it until it'll beep, and then we'll let the steam out, and then it'll just keep it warm for us. So here we are, we're at 19 minutes. We're in the pressure mode and we're ready to go. So we're just going to hit start, and it's just going to do this little circle thing where it's like a little circle on a racetrack. It's just going to go around while it's building pressure. This lid just sits here. There's no way to take it off, and it just sits there while this one is doing its thing. So now I tried it earlier and it took about 15 minutes to build up to pressure. Let's see what it takes this time. It is 5:51, so let's time this and see how long it takes to build to pressure. And so then we'll cut for now and see how long it takes. I'll see you after I have a little break. Okay, so we are at the end of the pressure cycle. We've just got a few seconds left. It's going to get loud and steamy in here, so I wanted you to be ready for it. So our time is up, and once you get to this point, it will just start counting back up until you're, like if you're away from it or something. So what I'm going to do is do what they call a quick release. And so this steam button over here, I don't think you can see it, but it's back here, and it is on the seal button, on the seal side, and I'm just going to flip it over here to the release, or I think it says vent actually, and it's going to send a cloud of steam up, and once the steam is released, then we'll be able to take this lid off. We can't take the lid off yet until the steam is released. It's another safety measure. So ready to get loud, here it goes. This is where you can really burn yourself. You have to be careful and make sure there's nothing, you're not under the kitchen cabinets or any kids around or anything that you might burn yourself. Probably a good idea to keep some hot pads or oven mitts or something up here, or even to release it with something like that where you can hold on to it, and you don't have to hold on to it, but if you're a little afraid the first time that you do it, you might want to have something handy where you don't have to use your hands. You can just release it with something. See, it's pretty quick. It's almost released already. And once we're done with this part, we'll take the pressure lid off and set it over to the side. And the meat should be done, but we will check it with a meat thermometer to be sure. Especially cooking with pork, I want to make sure that we get it done all the way. So we'll check that, and I think pork says on here has to be 160. I think it's like 165 degrees it needs to be. So we'll check that and make sure it's done all the way. I think things continue to cook a little while after they're done all the way. So. Okay, so I think this is done, but let's check it and let's see if they'll let us take the lid off. If it's not all the way released, it won't let us take the lid off. So the lid should be coming this way. You can feel it there. It came all the way, turned all the way. So that means that the pressure has released. So here we go. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. And now we have a lot of ribs. So let's just stick this in the middle, trying not to hit a bone. But let's just see. Oh yeah, we are way done. We're the middle up to 170 already. Oh yeah, it's way hot. It's up to 200 degrees already, so the ribs are definitely done. So we're going to now take this pot out and take it over to the sink. And actually, I think I'll bring the pan over here so be able to see it a lot better. So the next step is a step I've never done before. It'll be cooking with the cooking with this lid. We haven't done that before, so let's see. Let me get some tongs. One thing it did say is that whenever you are using this, to use silicone tongs on here. I think probably that's to protect the finish on the pan. So wow, these look good. These look like they cooked really well. Okay, our onions and our juice. Okay. All right, so we're going to let these sit for a few minutes. It says to let them sit and dry a little bit, and then we're going to cover them with barbecue sauce and put them back in here and put the other lid on. So let's just let them dry off for a few minutes. Okay, so we have the ribs out of the pressure cooker, and this is what's left. I think you can probably see that. Some good juice, and our onions are left in there. We're going to take this out and pour it into a bowl, and then start the next step. You see our ribs laying there. We got a little warning beep when I pulled this bowl out. So we'll just pour this into here because we don't need this juice right now. Okay, all right. So back into here we go, and I think I do want these onions back in here though, because we want to crisp those up. Those will be tasty. And let's see, so our ribs are laying there drying. I did want to mention that it took our ribs, it took our machine about 19 minutes to get to full pressure before it started cooking. It took our ribs 19 minutes to cook and 19 minutes to get to pressure. So that was about 40 minutes worth of cooking compared to, I don't know how long that would have taken to cook, but it would have taken a long time to cook those and get them that far. So 19 minutes to get to pressure, but there was a lot of ribs, they were cold, and it had cold water in it. The book does say that if you use hot water, that it will get to pressure faster. So that was a good idea. I hadn't thought of that, but it makes sense. So what we're going to do now is brush our ribs with barbecue sauce. We just have some Sweet Baby Ray's because we like the flavor of that. We're going to brush them and put them back in the cooker, and then we're going to do the air fryer, something I haven't used here before, so we'll see how that goes. These are pretty well, pretty tender feeling. They're easy enough to handle now. They've sat out here for a few minutes, but we'll see if this, we're hoping that the air fryer caramelizes them like they had been in the broiler maybe. So we'll see how this works out. the meantime, there's so many things you can do with this. You can, it says you can cook rice. Some of the models have a dehydrator. This model doesn't have the dehydrator. I was looking for that earlier, but this one doesn't have the dehydrator. And this barbecue sauce hopefully will get crispy and into the meat so that it's nice and tasty. I don't know how long. I have a little page there that tells, I think that they only cook for about 10 minutes in the next step, so that doesn't seem like very long, but it's just kind of like putting them in the broiler, really. It's not a very very advanced step, so, but we'll see. Hopefully they'll be tasty. That's a lot of ribs. So I'm going to put this one in here, and I'm going to pour the rest of this barbecue sauce right on here. Since we've already used it, got it poured out here, we don't want to waste it. Okay, there's an onion. Got an escapee. Okay, so the next step is with this lid. And the directions say 10 to 15 minutes with the air crisper. So I don't know if it's going to be 10 minutes or 15 minutes. But that's the nice thing. You can take a quick peek and you can check it and see how it goes. So, for the air fryer, it's telling us now that to watch it, we have the lid off. So on the front of here, let me turn it so you can see that. I think you can probably see that better now. We are going to do the air crisper, and at 390 degrees, and we're going to start out with 10 minutes. Actually, we'll start out with 15 minutes because we can always go back and at 10 minutes and stop it. So we have air crisper, 15 minutes, and let's start. Now it doesn't have to preheat or anything like that. It tells you right here, I left all the stickers on so you could see them. Lift the lid to sneak a peek. It'll automatically pause so you can add ingredients or check on your food to make sure that it's as crispy as you want it. It tells you up here, caution, do not block the vents. And let's see here, hot surface, so it's blowing the air back at the very back here where we were catching the drips of air from while it was pressure cooking. It's blowing hot air back there, so you want to be very careful. It does have two really nice handles here where you can pick it up. It's a heavy unit, but it has handles here that are very convenient. Let's see. And also, let's see, that's the do not block units. Once it gets through the other, through this area, it's got a keep warm section on here, a little area to keep warm. It does, this is the air crisping we're doing now. You can bake or roast with it. You can broil with it. You can sear or saute. You can slow cook with it, steam, and of course the pressure cooking that we did earlier. I think it would actually take the place of some of your kitchen tools, like it would take the place of the slow cooker, the rice cooker, the Ninja that I cook chili and I cook a lot of stuff in my Ninja multi-cooker. It would actually take the place of a lot of different kitchen tools, which would kind of justify taking up this much real estate in the kitchen. It's so hard to get find a place to store everything. Even when you just have a brand new kitchen, there's still never enough room in the kitchen to store stuff. So I'm always rationalizing one way or another. So I think that it, so far, I like it. It's worth the bang for the buck. I think that it is going to work for me. I just got it a couple of days ago, so there's still time to return it if I decide I really don't want it. And this is the first thing that we've cooked in it. I think probably the next thing I'll cook in it is a whole chicken. That looks really easy to do and can get really healthy. I think that one of the things that'll be a big selling point to a lot of people is how healthy you can get with it. You can do so many healthy things with vegetables, with frozen vegetables or with raw vegetables, and with the organics out these days. You could bake a cake in here. You could bake a big cookie. There's really a lot that you could do. So I think that it'll be a good thing. I think it'll be a big selling thing this Christmas. I think people will really jump on it. And I know at Bed Bath & Beyond, they had the coupon out for $20 off, and you couldn't find them in any of their stores, and even online they didn't have any that they were selling. They were out of stock completely, and I signed up to be notified if they got any in stock. Even online they didn't have any. So it's kind of hard to find them, but we'll see. I will try it, and for a few more recipes, I may post a few more recipes online. If there's something that you want to see online, leave me a comment. And please, when you leave comments, just leave nice, positive comments. Don't get ugly. I've seen so many ugly comments that people have left other people. There's no need for that. So come on, be nice, guys. Be polite. So okay, we've gone 5 minutes. Let's see what it looks like. So to check, it smells good. So to check it out, all you do is lift the lid. It doesn't seal or anything, and you really can't tell much at this point, but it's starting to look good. It automatically shuts itself off, and just close the lid. Starts again. Just has a little pause there. So we'll see how it goes. I'll come back in about 5 minutes and we'll check it then. Okay, so while we just have a couple minutes left on the cooker, I wanted to bring a couple of things to your attention about this machine. Some basics that we didn't even cover. It does take up quite a bit of real estate, which we mentioned at the beginning, but it is, it's like 13 inches tall. It is just a little over, I don't know if you can see that or not, but about 13 inches tall. That's pretty big. And let's see here, we can go across. It is 18 inches across, so that's pretty big. And from front to back, it is 15 inches. So those are approximately, but so that's quite a bit of space it's going to take up. So those are important numbers. And my husband got me his infrared thermometer because it is putting out a lot of heat back here. It's important that you don't put this on your countertop and shove it up underneath your cabinets and think that you're going to be able to use it there, because it is really putting out heat here. And so let me show you. It is putting out over 150 degrees right back here. Like this 146, 100 and over 150 degrees right back here where the exhaust heat is. And so that's going to be real important that you keep it away from the kiddos. Yeah, it can save you a lot of time cooking, but it's not going to save you any time if you got to spend that time in the emergency room with a kid that burned his hands because he was being curious as kids are, and it can be dangerous. So it is okay, so besides being dangerous to the kids, you don't want to put it under the countertops because the heat that's being forced out of here could easily catch your house on fire, in my opinion. I'm not going to take the chance and find out, but it is blowing heat out here, and I just really think against a drywall it could start a fire pretty quickly. So keep it away from the walls. I have it on my kitchen island, and I'll be storing it in a cabinet when I'm not using it. Definitely will not take a permanent place on my countertop. It'll be put away when I'm not using it. So anyway, I wanted to just make sure you saw how hot it does get. What is our time at? I think we're 14 seconds. Okay. So on the inside, this little thing up here, the heating element is like 450 degrees. We have it set very hot. There's a fan in here that's spinning and a heating element, and we have it set at a very high temperature. So I wanted to make sure that you could see how high that is. So I don't know if you can see that on the camera or not, but we had that set at 420 degrees. It's cooling off now since I haven't opened, but it's very, very hot. And even though they have a catch on here, a safeguard, it's still hot. And everything in here is going to be super hot. And just like, kids with the oven, you're of course going to be teaching your kids safety and all of that, but still it's very a little deceiving. It doesn't look so dangerous, but it is. It's hot. It's very hot. So just like a crock pot or whatever. But anyway, there's our ribs. They're looking pretty good. The reason that we put them in the air crisper was to caramelize that barbecue sauce. It would be just like putting them in the broiler when you were done cooking them. After you cook them in the smoker, maybe you put them in the broiler to crisp them, not crisp them up, I don't know why I'm saying crisp them up, but to caramelize the barbecue sauce. So let me grab a plate and let's see. We know that they're done because we did the temperature when they came out of the pressure cooker, so we know that they're done, but they're just, I wish they were a little more tender, which I might adjust next time, cook them a little longer to make them fall off the bone. Or I may try a different kind of rib. These are just your regular ribs. They're not baby back, or I think next time I'd try baby back ribs. They might be a little more tender. I think I'm going to let these sit and cool for a little bit and then jump in. These are looking really good. I know they have good sauce on them, but they are definitely not, well, okay, so maybe they are falling off the bone. But there you have it. Again, it's the Ninja Foodie, Foodi. You can find it just about everywhere if you look hard enough, but you can find it between $100 and $89 and $200, and we'll keep making videos. The next thing will probably be a baked chicken, something easy, but if there's something that you can think of you want to see us try, leave me a comment. We'll see what we can do.